During Sunday brunch, my brother raised his glass. To our walking aim, always there, never seen. Laughter filled the table. I smiled, lifted my glass and said, to the ones who just lost access to the joint account. One by one, phones started buzzing. And then, the laughter died instantly. All I wanted was one damn moment. Just a simple brunch. An hour or two where I could sit across from my family, tell them what I'd achieved and maybe, for once, feel like they were actually proud of me. So, I got promoted. A real promotion, not one of those meaningless title changes that come with more work and no raise. This one mattered. After years of grinding, juggling bills, missing sleep and raising my daughter completely on my own, someone finally noticed me. I was making enough now that I didn't have to check my account before buying groceries. I thought maybe that would matter to them, that they'd see how hard I'd worked, how much I'd done without asking anyone for a thing. I should have known better. The restaurant was one of those brunch experiences with $10 coffee and plates that looked like art projects. My mom insisted on it because this place has the right crowd. My dad didn't say much beyond a grunt when I showed up. He never does. My aunt came because she never turns down free food. And my brother Trevor. He arrived 20 minutes late wearing a hoodie and slides, smelling faintly like weed and apathy. He's 22, still lives at home, doesn't work. My parents call him creative. Apparently, streaming video games 6 hours a day counts as a career now. I ordered a mimosa and tried to start the conversation. I told them about the promotion, how I'd been chosen over 2 senior staff, how it meant stability for me and my daughter, how proud I felt finally being recognized. I waited for someone to say something, to smile, to care. My mom said, "That's great, honey, maybe now you can take a real vacation." My dad muttered something about how money isn't everything. And Trevor just said, "Guess I don't have to worry about my internet bill this month." They laughed. I didn't. Still, I told myself to let it go. It wasn't worth ruining the day over. Then Trevor lifted his glass. To our walking ATM, always there, never seen. They all laughed. My mom even repeated it like it was clever. Something in me snapped right there. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was the kind of quiet anger that builds over years until it hardens into something unbreakable. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I raised my glass. To the ones who just lost access to the joint account. They laughed again, thinking I was joking. Then the buzzing started. My dad checked his phone first. Then my mom. Then Trevor. I'd spent hours the night before transferring every dollar out of the shared accounts I'd set up for them. The ones I'd opened so they wouldn't fall behind. Canceled the automatic transfers. Deleted their access to my cards. Changed every password. Years of quiet financial babysitting undone in one night. The laughter stopped. My mom's face went pale. My dad asked what I'd done. Trevor just stared at me, his phone still in his hand like he was waiting for it to fix itself. For the first time in years they were all silent. And in that silence, something inside me settled. Because I realized that every bill I paid for them, every favor I said yes to, every time I helped when they never helped me, none of it ever earned respect. It just made me easier to use. They didn't come to celebrate me. They came to make sure their personal bank accounts still smiled back. But not anymore. I finished my mimosa, stood up and said I had work to do. And for once I meant it. I didn't expect gratitude. I wasn't that naive. But I guess a part of me thought that maybe, once I cut them off they'd at least stop pretending I owed them something. Instead I got silence. For 3 days, nothing. Not a call, not a text, not even one of those guilt-laced memes my mom sends when she wants something but doesn't want to ask directly. It was like I'd been erased from the group. Which, ironically, was the most peaceful my phone had been in years. But I knew them too well. It wasn't over. They weren't ignoring me. They were recalibrating. Then Wednesday night it started. My dad called. I let it ring out. He left a voicemail, the usual, "Hey, I think something's going on with the electric bill. Probably a glitch. Can you check it on your end?" I didn't even listen to the whole thing. Deleted it halfway through. About an hour later my mom texted. Said, "Hey sweetie, noticed something odd with the gas account. Did you maybe accidentally unlink it? It's okay if you did, just let me know." Accidentally. That word got under my skin. They still didn't get it. Or maybe they just didn't want to. They thought this was a mistake I'd eventually fix. That I'd feel guilty. That I'd come crawling back with an apology and a fresh stack of payments. I didn't reply. Thursday came and went. Friday too. Nothing. But Saturday morning I woke up to a string of texts from Trevor. Not angry ones. Friendly ones. Weirdly friendly. "Hey, been thinking of getting into freelancing. Maybe marketing or design or whatever. Think you could look over my portfolio? Then, maybe we could hang out sometime this week? Just catch up. Been forever." Then, Mom made lasagna. You should come by tomorrow. I stared at my phone, genuinely stunned for a second. Trevor hadn't texted me without needing something in over a year. And suddenly he wanted career advice. It was laughable. He didn't want help. He wanted the money attached to it. But still, I didn't delete the texts. I kept them just to see what he'd try next. The next day my mom invited me over for dinner. Just dinner. No context. No emergency. Just, come by, we'd love to see you. I said yes. Not because I missed them. Not because I wanted to reconnect. But because I wanted to see how long they could keep up the act. I showed up that evening, dressed like I had somewhere else to be afterward. Their house looked suspiciously clean. There were candles. Trevor had showered. My dad even put on a collared shirt. It was like stepping into a weird play where everyone knew their lines except me. Dinner was awkward in a way they tried to hide. My mom asked questions about work. Actual questions. My dad nodded along. Trevor sat there, fidgeting, clearly waiting for the right moment. Eventually he got tired of waiting. We were thinking of maybe taking a family trip, he said casually. Just something small. Weekend thing. Could be fun. I looked at him. Then my mom added, maybe down to the coast. Somewhere warm. Nothing fancy. It'd be nice to spend time together again. There was. Wrapped in the illusion of family bonding. A vacation they couldn't afford. A vacation they assumed I'd pay for. Like always. I smiled. Told them it sounded nice. Then changed the subject. Because I wasn't going to say no. Not yet. No gives them something to argue with. Maybe keeps them guessing. I left after dessert. Trevor tried to walk me to my car. He stood by the door, shifting from foot to foot like a kid trying to work up the nerve to ask for something. You mad at me? He said. I almost laughed. No, I said. Not at all. And then I got in the car and drove off. Because they were trying. For once they were trying. But not because they cared about me. They just finally realized what it felt like to lose their lifeline. And I wasn't in a rush to throw it back. The following week felt like I was being slowly circled. Like they were waiting for the right moment to strike again. Only this time they were dressing it up as concern, warmth, and fake closeness. Trevor started texting me more than usual. Not in his normal, lazy half-sentence way but full messages. Like he suddenly knew how punctuation worked. One morning he sent me a long text about taking initiative. Said he was exploring freelance work, thinking maybe social media marketing or crypto consulting. He attached a screenshot of a career quiz from a sketchy website that told him he had a 97% match for entrepreneurship. He asked me what I thought. Another day he asked if I knew how to start an LLC. I didn't respond to either message. Then came the links to absurd job ads. One of them was a remote snack taster for a global flavor research company. Another promised 6 figures for rating dating app bios. He genuinely wanted me to look into them. It wasn't even insulting. It was pathetic. I realized then he had no clue what real work looked like. No idea what it took for me to get where I am. And he didn't care. He just wanted me back in position. Back in giving mode. And he wasn't the only one. My mom ramped things up too. She started calling me at night, always around the same time like it was on her calendar. Said she missed hearing my voice. Asked how my daughter was. Asked if I was eating enough. It was strange, almost nice. But I couldn't shake the feeling that every kind word was just the setup for something else. She offered to babysit once. I told her I already had it covered and she backed off like she hadn't meant it in the first place. The guilt wasn't working. So they tried charm. I didn't fall for it. But I watched it all. Closely. And then out of nowhere my aunt called. We hadn't spoken since the brunch. She never called unless she wanted something and even then she usually had my mom do it for her. I let it go to voicemail. She left one of those overly sweet messages full of empty praise. How proud she was of me, how incredible I was, how no one really understood how much I'd taken on. Then came the real reason. She said my parents were dealing with something private. Said they were too proud to talk about it, but that maybe if I reached out I could help ease the situation. They were setting the stage. Carefully. That night my mom called again. I answered. She didn't waste time. Said she and my dad had been thinking about downsizing. She mentioned that some bills had piled up unexpectedly. She said things had been harder than they let on, but that they weren't asking for a handout. Just help. She talked a lot about starting over, clean slates, and how they just wanted to stabilize for good. I didn't interrupt. I let her finish. Then she dropped the number. $6,000. Just 6. Just, as if it were a favor, a small bump to push the family back on track. She said, "This is the last time, Mila. I swear. We'd never ask again. We just need this to get back to 0. That's it." And for a moment I just sat there holding the phone, hearing nothing. It wasn't that I was shocked by the amount. It was that they really believed this whole act had worked. That a few weeks of pretending to care, of faking interest in my life, of asking about my daughter's favorite snacks, all of that was just an investment toward a payout. They'd built this whole campaign of warmth and closeness just to end it with a request. And they truly thought I'd say yes. As I always had. Because no matter how tired I was, no matter how broke, no matter how many jobs I was juggling, I always showed up. I always made it work. But something had shifted in me. I was exhausted. Not just tired, depleted. My life was hanging together by a thread. I was working long hours, skipping lunch to make daycare pickups, crashing into bed at night just to wake up and do it all over again. I was running on fumes and they wanted $6,000 to make their lives a little more comfortable. I told her I'd think about it. She said she understood. But her tone said something else. She already believed she'd won. That the answer was inevitable. And I'll be honest. I didn't know my answer yet. I wasn't trying to play games. I was genuinely torn. Because maybe, just maybe, if I gave them the money they'd finally stop. Maybe I could buy them off. Permanently. $6,000 for silence, for space, for freedom. It almost sounded worth it. Almost. After the call with my mom, I spent the night staring at the ceiling trying to justify it to myself. $6,000. I kept running the math. Not just numbers, emotions too. How much peace was worth. How much silence cost. And whether deep down I still wanted to believe they were capable of changing. I already knew the answer. That morning I transferred the money. I didn't tell them I did it. I didn't respond to the thank you text that came 7 minutes later. It said, "You have no idea what this means to us. We'll never forget this." Which was hilarious considering they'd already forgotten every time before. But for a moment, I'll admit it, it felt like maybe I'd finally bought my way out. Like I'd closed the book and could finally stop flipping back to the chapter where they begged and I gave in. For a week it stayed quiet. No missed calls. No emergencies. No backhanded compliments or weird, desperate texts from Trevor. My daughter and I started taking walks in the evening again. I even cooked dinner 3 nights in a row, which hadn't happened in months. Then came Thursday. I was finishing up a late report at work when Nicole, a co-worker from 2 floors up, tapped on my desk and asked if she could show me something. She looked hesitant. I thought it was another HR memo or some team building sign-up. Instead she handed me her phone. There, on Reddit, was a thread from someone named TGameMaster87, and within 2 sentences I knew it was Trevor. He had posted in a personal finance subreddit, venting about his uptight sister, who refuses to help her struggling family even though she's finally making good money. It wasn't subtle. He wrote about how he and mom had played her right and got one last payout. He said they made her feel like family again just long enough to cash out. That exact phrase. Cash out. And then, and this part stopped me cold, he said they were planning to ask again in a few months. Said she's soft. She always comes back. The comments were even worse. Some people called him out but plenty didn't. Trevor replied to several, mocking me, joking about manipulation tactics that still work, and openly admitting he never planned to get a job. Nicole said, "I didn't want to assume but I figured it might be about you." Then she walked away. Respectfully. Like someone who'd just seen something she wasn't supposed to. I sat there for 10 minutes staring at the screen. There it was. In public. For strangers to laugh at. The full extent of how little I meant to them. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I went cold. Completely numb. I didn't even call them out. What was the point? Trevor wasn't sorry. My mom was probably in on it. And my dad? He wouldn't know if the house was on fire unless someone told him and handed him a hose. The next morning I logged into my bank app. Emergency fund. $174.89. That transfer had cleared everything I had been slowly building for months. Every skipped coffee, every side gig, every long night staring at spreadsheets with one eye open. I sat at the kitchen table watching my daughter eat dry cereal because we were out of milk, and I made a quiet decision right then. This was over. They would never get another cent from me. Not now. Not later. Not ever. And that decision, that calm, quiet moment of resolve, must have opened something up in the universe. Because 4 days later I got an email that changed everything. A recruiter. From a major company in another state. Said they found my name through a niche industry blog post I'd written last year and wanted to talk. The job was a significant step up. Less hours. More pay. Full relocation package. A daycare stipend. It felt made up. I scheduled the interview, took it during my lunch break, and 48 hours later they sent an offer. I stared at the screen for 5 full minutes, making sure it wasn't a scam. It wasn't. And that was it. The moment fate handed me the exit I didn't even know I was waiting for. 2 weeks later I terminated my lease, boxed up our lives, and moved out of state with my daughter. No announcement. No farewell dinner. No texts. Just gone. The day we moved, it rained just enough to smear the windows and wash everything clean. It wasn't dramatic. No final confrontation, no shouting match, no slammed doors. Just a quiet goodbye to a city that had drained me dry. I'd lived in that apartment for 4 years. Raised my daughter there. Worked nights there. Cried in that bathroom more times than I could count. And I left it without looking back. I didn't post a thing. I didn't tell a soul. I packed at night after putting my daughter to bed, boxing up our lives like evidence. Sold the furniture. Canceled the lease. Left a note for the nanny with a forwarding address and a thank you envelope. She cried when I handed it to her. She didn't ask questions. She just hugged me and told me I was doing the right thing. By the time we hit the highway, it felt like I was slipping out of a skin I should have shed years ago. 8 hours later we were in a new state. New apartment. Higher floor. Sunlight poured in like it had been waiting for us. The walls weren't closing in anymore. My daughter twirled in the empty living room like she already understood we were free. The new job started a week later. Fewer hours. Double the pay. And a boss who, on my first day, asked what I needed to succeed. I remember sitting at my new desk staring at my screen thinking, this is mine. All of it. I built this. For 12 days everything was quiet. No missed calls. No guilt texts. No drama. Then like clockwork they noticed I was gone. Started with my dad. A single message. Hey, where have you been? Mom said she hasn't heard from you. Everything okay? I didn't answer. 2 hours later my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was light, performative. Just checking in, honey. We're a little worried. Haven't seen you online. Hope everything's alright with work and the little one. Let us know. The tone was sweet but the timing wasn't random. They weren't worried. They were realizing I had disappeared without permission. That the money machine they'd always counted on had unplugged itself and vanished. On day 13 Trevor texted. Casual. Too casual. Mom said you ghosted. That true? You could. I stared at it for a long time. Debated whether to even reply. But something in me wanted them to know. Not the details. Just enough. I typed 2 words. I moved. 10 minutes later my phone rang. It was my mom. Then again. Then Trevor. Then my dad. I didn't pick up. Trevor sent another text. Moved? Where? Since when? Why didn't you say anything? Then 2 hours of silence. And then came the reason for all the concern. Trevor again. Wait, are you making more now? That's amazing. We're really proud of you. Shlee, since you're in a better place now, there's this one thing we were hoping you could help with. Just a short-term thing. There was the real message beneath all the fake concern. They didn't miss me. They missed access. They missed the girl who always answered. Who always paid. Who never said no. And maybe I should have felt sad about that. But I didn't. Because that text, that casual sleazy attempt to slide back in, confirmed everything I'd always suspected. To them I was never a person. Just a plan. A resource. A tool. And when that tool stopped working the way they wanted, they tried to guilt it, charm it, guilt it again. I didn't respond. I didn't explain. I didn't argue. That night I blocked them. One by one. My mom. My dad. Trevor. My aunt. Even a couple of their friends I knew would try to mediate. Gone. No announcement. No drama. Just off. My daughter and I had dinner on the floor that night. Pizza from a place around the corner, eaten from the box because we didn't have plates yet. She laughed the whole time, her little face lit up by city lights and something that looked like peace. I realized then, this is what freedom feels like. No one expecting. No one taking. Just space. Just you. It had been 6 weeks. 6 weeks of real quiet. Not the kind where you're waiting for the phone to light up. The kind where, for the first time in years, silence doesn't mean tension. It means peace. I had kept them blocked. Every single one of them. My parents, Trevor, my aunt, even a couple of their nosy family friends who always had an opinion but never a solution. I didn't just block their numbers. I blocked them in my mind. I stopped wondering what they were doing, if they were talking about me, if they'd try something. And for a while it worked. In that silence I finally got to live like a person. My daughter was thriving. She adjusted to the new city faster than I expected. She started telling people our apartment was in the clouds because of how high up we lived. The first time she saw snow from the window she screamed like it was magic. Kept my routines simple. Wake up early, get her to school, walk to work, be home by dinner. Weekends were sacred, just us. No meetings, no money requests, no pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. The job. Better than I thought possible. They respected boundaries. Asked for input. Paid me like my time had value. I stopped checking my bank account before buying paper towels. I started keeping fresh fruit in the fridge. Not because we needed it, but because we could. I even bought curtains. Real ones. Nothing off Craigslist or from a clearance bin. And yet, some small part of me still waited for the crack. The breach. The inevitable, one last call. It came in the middle of a Thursday. Unknown number. I almost let it ring out. But something told me to pick up. I didn't speak first. There was silence on the line. Then a breath. Then, my mother's voice. She didn't say hello. She didn't ask how I was. She said, "We know you moved." That was it. Not "we miss you." Not "we're sorry." Just the quiet resentment of someone who realized the door was locked from the inside. I didn't answer. I waited. She continued, "We're not mad. We just want to talk. Just know where you are. That's all." So, as if I owed them that. As if the woman who hadn't once offered to help when I was working nights and sleeping 3 hours a day had the right to ask anything. She kept going, her voice all soft and careful, like she was stepping across a frozen lake. "We've been talking a lot, your dad and I. About the past. About how things got twisted. And Trevor, he's growing up. He's been helping around the house. He asks about you." I closed my eyes, counted to 5. Then came the reason for the call. I knew it before she said it. "Things are tight again. Just temporary. Your dad's work dried up. Trevor's car broke down and we were hoping." I could practically hear her reaching for the old lines, the ones that used to work. "We were hoping you could help. Just this once. You're doing well now, right?" That last part hit me harder than I expected. Not because it was cruel, but because it was true. I was doing well now. Better than ever. And they knew it. And instead of being happy for me, they saw it as a reason to tighten the leash again. This was always the plan. The "we miss you" was just the setup. The "you're doing well" was the trap. The ask was inevitable. I waited a beat. Let the silence stretch. Then I said what I'd been holding on to since the day I left. "This is the last time we speak." Just that. No rage. No explanation. No apology. I hung up. Then I blocked the number. And that was it. No follow-up. No backup attempts. No cousin texting, "What's going on?" Just silence. Real silence. And in that space, something settled inside me. Something that had been knocking around for years, looking for a place to land. It wasn't victory. It wasn't revenge. It was relief. They couldn't reach me anymore. Not through guilt. Not through blood. Not even through money. I was mine again. It's been almost a year now. We have a rhythm. My daughter loves school. I joined a community garden. I take walks without my phone. I sleep without dread. I don't flinch when unknown numbers call. I know now, I owe no one a single part of me they're not willing to value. And sometimes I think about that call. Not what was said, but what wasn't. They never said sorry. And I'm glad. Because I didn't need closure. I needed distance. I gave them everything. Time, money, silence, grace. But the best gift I ever gave them was goodbye. And the best gift I ever gave myself was meaning I